Hello scholars, this is Mr. Jimenez, and today we're going to be doing a guided lab about density. Now, density refers to if something sinks or it floats when it's in water. I'm going to show you some tricks to remember which is which, and then we're going to test some items to see if they're more dense or less dense. So let's get started. First, I want to talk about the word more dense. If something is more dense, that means it sinks. It goes down. A good way to remember this is by doing the following. So I want you to do this with me at home. I want you to use your arms and your hands to make an M. Notice, when I make the M, where are my fingers pointing? Are my fingers pointing up or are they pointing down? They're pointing down because when something is more dense, it goes down or it sinks. Got it. Next, we're going to talk about the word less dense. If something is less dense, that means it floats. It does the opposite, right? So when we talk about things being less dense, we're going to make an L. Notice where my hands are pointing. They're pointing up. So if something is less dense, it goes up. So I hope this helps you remember what more dense means and what less dense means. So let's test some items to see what they're all about. The first material we're going to test is something called a cork. Now, cork is actually wood, and we use cork to cover bottles, or sometimes we use it to cover test tubes to make sure liquid doesn't come out. So let me show you what the cork looks like. You've probably seen these before. Sometimes you see them on cork boards on the wall to put push pins up. So that's what cork is. So let's put this in the water and see how dense it is. Is it going to be more dense than water or less dense than water? Let's see. What do you observe? I observe that the cork is floating in the water. So what does it mean to float? If something floats, is it more dense? Is it going down? Or is it less dense? Is it going up? What do you think? You're right. The cork is floating, so it is less dense. Nice job. Let's try another item. Next, we have an object called an iron washer. Iron washers are made out of metal, and they have this big hole in the middle. They're used for construction and to build things. So let's do the same thing. What's going to happen when I drop this in the water? Let's see in 3, 2, 1, boom. It sank. What word means to sink? Less dense or more dense? Where am I pointing? Up or down? Where is it going? Up or down? It's going down. You're right. So this metal washer is more dense. Let's try another object. Next we have an eraser. Right here, a pink eraser. Erasers are made out of a material called rubber, which actually comes from trees. It's kind of like how we get maple syrup from trees, except we get rubber, which is this really cool material that we use. So let's put it in the water, see what happens in 3, 2, 1, boop. It sank. So what does that mean? I'm going to let you figure it out. And make sure you write this down in your assignment. You'll have an option to pick up which it is. So it sinks. All right, let's just keep testing objects. So I'm going to go through the entire list that's on your team's assignment, and you're going to make sure you tell me what each of these materials is and how it's behaving. Next, we have a cotton ball. You might know these. Okay, cotton balls, just cotton. Now, cotton balls are very light, right? They don't weigh a lot, but you never know what happens when you put them in water. Let's see. Ready, 1, 2, 3, boom. And where's the cotton ball going? It's going down, it's sinking. So what does that mean? Is a cotton ball more dense? Or is it less dense? What is it doing? Think about that. All right, we're gonna try a different material. We're gonna try the next thing on my list, which is a sugar cube. Now a sugar cube is basically a lot of sugar that has been condensed and made super, super tight so that it becomes a solid, right? So we're gonna put it in water. Now, we'll see what happens when I put it in water, right? And this happens to regular sugar too. So when I put it in water, where does it go? 1, 2, 3, boop. It goes down. So what does that mean? Is it more dense or less dense? We already tried the cotton ball. Next, we're gonna try a piece of wood. Now this piece of wood is pine. Pine is a type of wood. It's the type of wood that pine trees are made out of, or Christmas trees. Let's see what happens when I put this in the water. Now I want you to note that wood, believe it or not, has a lot of tiny pockets of air inside. That's just how wood grows, but something to note. Now with density, the more air something has inside, the more likely it is to be less dense. The less air it has inside, the more likely it is to be more dense. So let's see what happens to this piece of wood with a lot of bubbles of air inside. We're going to put it in the water. Ready, 1, 2, 3, boom. And it's floating. So what does that tell us? Is it more dense or less dense? Alrighty, the next object we have is a marble. Now marbles, just a regular marble, right? Right here we have a marble. Let's see what happens. It's made out of glass. Let's put it in the water and ready in 1, 2, 3, boop. And it sank. So is it more dense or less dense? Remember, is it M for more dense or L for less dense? What is it gonna be? Where is it going? Is it going down or is it going up? Let's keep finding out. Next thing we're gonna try is a ping pong ball. Now ping pong balls are, you hear that? They're hollow. That means there's only air inside the ping pong ball. It's very thin, it's very light, but there's a lot of air inside. So let's see what happens. Will it float or will it sink? Let's see, ready, 1, 2, 3, boop. It even bounced on the top of the water. I see it's floating. So what does that mean? Is it more dense or less dense? Next, we're gonna try some different materials. So I'm gonna take these out so that I can try this next material because it could get a little messy. And we're gonna try a substance called oil. Now the oil that I'm using is vegetable oil. It's the kind that your mom or your dad or your grandma, whoever you live with, what they used to cook, right? You know this stuff. It's yellow and it's kind of sticky, right? We're gonna put it in the water because believe it or not, some liquids sink and some liquids float. So it just depends. So I'm gonna pour some in here and we're gonna see exactly what happens. Is this gonna be more dense or less dense? Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. What do you notice is happening? Those little bubbles that you're seeing on screen are actually the oil. So is the oil floating or is it sinking? Let's see if I can show you a little bit better with this black background. You can kind of see it on top. Boop. You see those little bubbles right here? That is the oil. So the oil is floating. So what does that mean? Is oil more dense or less dense? And we got a couple more materials to try and then we'll be done. All right, 2 more materials. The next material we're gonna try is salt. Now this is a solid that we use a lot in cooking. Now let's see what happens when I put this salt inside the water. Where is it gonna go? Let's see, boom, 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 boom. What's happening? Where did the salt go? Can you see it in there? No, the salt sank. That means that the salt is either more dense or less dense. Let's think about it. If it's falling and it's dropping, is it going down or is it going up? Think about that. What is the salt doing? And then last but not least, we're going to try sand. So I'm gonna use my little beaker. Look at how cute that beaker is. It's so small. And we're gonna pour it in there. We're just gonna see what happens because that's what we do in science. We do experiments and then we see what happens. So let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I'm putting my sand in there. And what is happening? What do you see happening? I'm observing that as I poured the sand inside the water, it dropped and it fell to the very bottom because there's not a lot of air inside the sand. So think about it. Is it more dense or less dense? Alrighty guys, that concludes our lab. what I want you to do now is, based on what you saw, I want you to go to your assignment, go back to where you clicked on this video, go back to it, and I want you to bubble in if the object is either more dense or less dense. And if you're like, I don't remember, the great thing about this is you can always come back to this video and watch it. All right, so I will talk to you later, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.